Girls can easily get paid 50,000 in bonuses just by stripping naked and sleeping. That sounds pretty tempting, but not everyone can do this job. Sleeping beauty student must be young and beautiful, body skin cannot have any defects. And most importantly, the customer's information must be absolutely confidential. Because the customers here are the rich and famous, are the big shots. The girl's name is Leigh. Still in college, she has seen the cruelty of society early. Her parents died when she was very young. Orphaned, Leigh had to work to pay for school while studying. Life was very difficult. After school, all the other students would go out to play. She was shuttled between school and the restaurant. In addition to her part-time job as a restaurant waitress, she also worked as a lab rat to help test new drugs to tolerate various adverse reactions. All this hard work is for money. To save as much as possible on rent, she chose to share a room with her best friend. But her best friend's boyfriend is always in charge of her doing all kinds of chores. In order not to be evicted, Leigh had to put up with it. The good thing is that he is not at home most of the time. On weekends, she works as a part-time clerk at the office. After work was probably the only time she could relax. Avery would put on her makeup and a nice dress and go to a bar with her friends for drinks. She was often hit on by men for her good looks. Then a coin toss was used to decide who to go with tonight. Although Avery worked day and night and almost never took a break, but the money she earned was not enough. It turned out that her boyfriend was seriously ill. In order to help her boyfriend to see the doctor, the two of them took on a huge amount of debt. But the meager income is only a drop in the bucket. That day the hospital called again. If Leigh does not pay the money, her boyfriend's treatment will be suspended. Desperate, the girl saw a job posting in the newspaper. The offer was very generous. She rushed to call and asked. She was invited to an interview first. According to the address on the phone, Leigh arrived at a luxury villa. Looking across the interviewer in a suit, she was a little nervous. Consciously sitting upright, she didn't realize that the man was just a butler and the interviewer was someone else. Annie told the girl to sit down first, then began to introduce the job description. Simply put, it's a senior waitress. Serving guests at private parties will have certain requirements for appearance. No tattoos and no drug addicts. Because the guests here are in high places. Most of the topics discussed involve confidential, so keep your mouth shut is the most important point. It is best to know some table manners. Leigh immediately said she had experience in this area. After some conversation, Anna was quite satisfied with Avery. The next step was to pass a medical examination and training, and then she would be ready to start. Back home, Leigh was excited. She also showed off her newly acquired skills. The job pays up to $2,000 an hour. I'm sure I'll be able to pay it off in no time. But was the job really as easy as it seemed? Soon it was time for the first day of work. The driver had been waiting for a long time. Leigh walked into the villa in a black dress, looking around curiously. Anna looked gorgeous today. She told Leigh to be careful what she said and did so as not to offend anyone. This is not a game. Leigh changed into her uniform. In fact, she had a vague feeling that this was not a serious job. But who's going to mess with money? Anna double-checked her makeup, everything down to the shade of lipstick. Everything was ready. Tonight's work will also begin. This is a special job that pays $2,000 an hour. Girls in hot uniforms wait on the rich people in front of them. They are carefully selected from the purest girls. It is said that this way, the food is not tainted with the smell of copper. Amy, under the watchful eye of the old men, strictly adhere to the training process to pour champagne for the guests in turn. Each dish will be served with a different wine, and with a different wine glass. There are a lot of things to do here. A night's work is more money than a month before. Avery never thought it would be so easy to make money. Looking at the $5,000 on the table, there was a strong sense of unreality. She took out a bill and lit it with a lighter. Watching the money in her hand burn to ashes, her heart began to drift. She was no longer interested in her part-time job. All she could think about was making a quick buck. After all, a month of hard work is not as good as 2 hours of dishwashing. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Some customers will be deliberately difficult. In order to keep the high-paying job, ally more and more serious efforts after work and then go for a drink or two to relax. But since the exposure to high society, Ally's vision has also become higher. No longer interested in the ordinary men in the bar. Unless it is a good condition, she will be a little interested. Back home, boyfriend thoughtfully handed a cup of hot tea. Ally is strong on the outside. In fact, she is very weak inside. She confides in her boyfriend about her bad job and the stress of school. In the eyes of others, do not understand why she lives so tired. But only Leigh knows that her boyfriend is the only thing that keeps her going. When she lost her family, her boyfriend was by her side and even dropped out of school to pay for her education. Unfortunately, the disease shattered their happy life. despite having enough money for medical expenses. But her boyfriend's health was getting weaker and weaker. Medication is not a cure. Unless the heart match is successful, a transplant will be performed as soon as possible. But the supply of suitable hearts was very tight. The boyfriend had been waiting in line for 3 years. He was prepared for the worst. Ali looked at her boyfriend, who she loved so much. She was determined to earn more money to help her boyfriend cure his heart disease. Anna found out what she was going through, so she introduced her to a new job. The pay was 10 times the previous salary. This job is called Sleeping Beauty. As the name implies, it is to lie in bed and sleep. You can wake up and get paid easily. Ali had some doubts. There is no pie in the sky. How can there be something for nothing? Anna went on to explain. Because many wealthy people suffer from insomnia, psychologists usually advise their patients have a pet to keep them company. Sleeping Beauty serves a similar purpose as a companion and soother. And each guest must sign an agreement. Never allowed to have sex with Sleeping Beauty. But to protect the privacy of the guests, Ali needs to drink sleeping pills. What happens during this she will not know, but in order to cure her boyfriend, Ali agreed to the job. After drinking sleeping pills and what will be waiting for her, the young girl drank sleeping pills and fell into a sleep without any clothes. At that moment an old man came in. He looked like a novice, fidgeting nervously. The boss reassured him that no one else would know what was going on here. There is no surveillance in the room, so be conscious of the gentleman's agreement. Never have sex with the girl. The man said he was too old to do this. The boss was relieved to leave the room. I'll skip the rest if you don't like to read it. The next morning Ali woke up when the guests had left. It was as if nothing had happened. There was no physical discomfort. It was like a good night's sleep. There was a check for $50,000 on the table. I can't believe I made so much money in one night. Avery was overjoyed. She started to spend a lot of money. She moved out of the house she shared with her girlfriend and quit her part-time job at the company. She lived in a luxury apartment and enjoyed the life of a rich person. But within a few days the $50,000 was squandered. She called her boss and asked, "Is there any business these days?" But this opportunity does not come every day. Ali had no choice but to go back to her old job, continue to work in the laboratory drug testing. The boss called again. Ali easily drinks sleeping pills, then lie in bed and go to sleep. After a while the boss came in with a man. The same rules apply. But this time Ali woke up and felt some discomfort in her neck. For 2 days in a row, she received business. But Ali found some inexplicable bruises on her body. She had an unsettling feeling about what had happened to her after she fell asleep. Before Ellie can figure out what happened at home, there is another accident. Her boyfriend, who is very sick, knows that his time is running out. In addition to the pain and suffering of the disease, finally chose to take drugs to kill himself. The death of her boyfriend is a bolt from the blue for Ellie. The reason she earned so much money was to pay for her boyfriend's medical care. Now her only source of support is gone. Allie's life was in shambles. What's the point of having all that money? It won't save the one she loves. Everything seems to have gone back to normal. Ellie continues to work at the restaurant, no longer expecting that mysterious job, until the day the boss called again. Ellie wanted to refuse, but then she thought, why not take this opportunity to find out the truth? What really happened after she fell asleep? She first went to the mall to buy a video equipment. Now everything was ready but the wind. Then came the familiar part. This time Ellie did not drink the drug directly. Instead, she asked the boss if she could skip the sleeping pills this time. She just wanted to know what happened after she fell asleep. But the owner said that the reason they do this is to ensure the safety of customers, to prevent them from being blackmailed. Ali had no choice but to drink the sleeping pills. But she couldn't possibly do as she was told. Back in the room, she fought back the sleepiness, hid the video equipment in the bookshelf, then restore everything to its original state before falling asleep. Then came the familiar part. The boss brought the man into the room, but this time the guest seems to be a little different. A little conversation to learn that the old man is to euthanize. Before he died, he wanted to have someone with him. That's how he found the owner. The old man took the poison in the cup, then lay peacefully in bed. By the next morning the boss came in to check. The old man had indeed died in his sleep, but she found Avery has not woken up. Signs. Could something be wrong? So frantically shaking Ali to try to wake her up, but it was only a false alarm. Ali soon opened her eyes, but when she saw the dead man beside her, she was so scared that she screamed. Later on in the video, Ali learned the truth. Unfortunately, she did not get the footage she wanted. Here the film ends abruptly, leaving the audience to imagine